So today we're going to be redrawing the borders of Eurasia. Now, fun fact, I actually started mapping on this channel by drawing the borders of various countries and continents, and today I thought it would be a fun throwback to redraw the borders of Eurasia. Now, Eurasia comprises of both the continents of Europe and Asia, so we're doing two continents at once here, so there is a lot of borders to redraw. But if you guys do enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you're new. As always, the support is greatly appreciated. If you haven't already, make sure to check out the limited edition 200,000 subscriber merchandise. I actually finally just got my orders in. I got the Old Empire one, as well as the limited edition 200k stuff. So if you are going to grab something, I highly recommend you grab this because it's going away after December 31st. And since the holidays are right around the corner, we are now offering 15% off on all orders over $30. You can use code HOLIDAYS at checkout, link to the merch store down in the description below. But let's go ahead and jump straight into this video. So we are going to be starting off over here in Western Europe as we start to redraw these borders. And the very first area that I feel like we should address is the Benelux region. And we are going to be splitting Belgium right in half, so we have the division of Flanders away from Belgium, and these guys will go ahead and unite with the rest of the Netherlands. So all the Dutch-speaking areas are now Dutch, while the French Wallonians in the south are still their own state. However, for our next move, we will be uniting them with Luxembourg. So we've gone ahead and fixed up this issue over here in the lowland countries, and now we can head right down south to France, where we're going to be dividing France up just a tiny bit. And by that, we'll be giving Brittany independence. Now, this was once a country of its own many years ago, and honestly, I think it should still be a country. France doesn't need that much land, so we'll take a little bit of it away from them. And we'll also grant independence over here to Corsica, so this becomes a country of its own, as well as Sardinia, which is a part of Italy. So two new countries down here, as well as the creation of Brittany up here. But now coming down to Spain, we are, we're going to be balkanizing them. First of all, we give independence over to Galicia, as well as the Basque country down here. So this is also a part of France, but now this population is better represented by its own government. We are going to give the province of Catalonia independence and also unite them over with Andorra. And then finally, we will give the region of Andalusia independence. So Spain does lose a ton of land, and 4 countries are technically carved out of them. But to make up for their losses, we will also be uniting Spain over with Portugal to form the Iberian Union. Now, I'm not exactly sure if either Portugal or Spain would want this. Let me know down in the comments if you would and you're from these countries. My hypothesis is no, and actually I'm pretty sure no is the answer. Western Europe looks pretty interesting at this point, but we still have some fixing to do. That includes giving Northern Ireland over to Ireland, as well as getting Scotland independence. We will not be releasing Wales. We're going to keep them as a part of England. I do believe the independence movement in Scotland is 10 times larger than any independence in Wales. In fact, I'm not even sure if there is a very strong Welsh independence movement. Once again, let me know in the comments below. But I'm pretty sure the independence movements are mostly just up in Scotland and Northern Ireland. So we fixed both of those problems here. And now we head on over to the beautiful nation of Switzerland. And the fun thing about Switzerland is that it primarily speaks 3 different languages as well as its own language. But mostly you can divide it up into 3 different groups. And sorry for all the Switzerland lovers out there, but that is exactly what we're going to be doing here. So the partitioning of Switzerland will look something like this. Notably, we have France getting all this land over here in the far west. Italy will get these 2 sub areas of Switzerland down in the south. And Germany will be getting everything else. Now, this part of Switzerland has a lot of their own language speakers, I believe. So we're not really going to give them a state. Instead, we'll just hand them on over to Austria. Austria is another very neutral country, so I don't think the Swiss population there is going to have much of an issue with that. Also, I do apologize to our Liechtenstein lovers, but we're going to also have Austria next to them. They're barely on this map anyway, so you won't notice much of a difference. But with the partitioning of Switzerland complete based on the language maps, we now see Western Europe is looking something like this. And so far, I've done a pretty decent job at actually fixing some issues and, giving independence to regions that want independence. But as you guys are probably thinking, this map doesn't look too great. But I'm technically fixing it still. It doesn't have to look pretty as long as it's fixed. Now, though, we are going to be giving Denmark some extra land over here in the north of Germany. They will annex this entire province here, which makes Denmark a little bit larger and probably a little bit stronger, having more inland coast along the border of Germany. As for Germany themselves, I don't think we're going to be actually doing much of anything for them, other than giving Bavaria complete independence. So notably, this makes Germany look very bad and horrible to look at. So in order to fix that and make up for whatever this is down here, we will be drawing in a brand new border, which will separate Germany into 2. So we have just normal Germany down here, and then whatever you want to call this region. Honestly, if Bavaria didn't look like how it did, and maybe instead it looked like that, Germany could still have all this land. But if we give the entire province of Bavaria its independence, we're going to have to make up for it down here. So we go ahead and create yet another new country, and Germany has lost a lot of land. But in order to make make up for that, we will be giving Germany a lot of land from Poland. This was historically German land, but modernly Polish land. However, we do have some more plans in store for Poland here in a second. But from here, we're going to unite all three of the Baltic nations into one, and we will also partition Kaliningrad between them and Poland. Moving up to Scandinavia, we're going to make some minor changes up here in the north. More specifically, we're going to be cutting up Norway just a little bit. So first of all, Finland will be getting all of this panhandle area of Norway. I actually do not know why Norway owns this. Let me know in the comments below. Every time I don't know something, I could very easily just look it up, but I think you guys giving me the information is a lot more fun. Anyway, Sweden will also be annexing parts of Norway, but they'll also be annexing the slither of land from Finland. And that is all of the changes we are going to make to this region up here. Honestly, I really do like how the borders already are, so I don't think that there are much changes that are needed, other than just getting rid of this hideous part of Norway. So we fixed that issue. Honestly, we could just unite Norway and Sweden, and that would fix a lot of other problems, but I think we're going to keep Norway independent. These islands up here, honestly, not sure what to do with them. So we'll just sink them into the ocean. All right, so our map of Europe so far is looking pretty good, but there are still a few more changes that we need to make. So let's come on over here to Belarus, and we are going to be giving most of this land over to Poland. I told you guys that I had something in store for Poland, and we are basically going to be restoring their World War II borders here with an additional piece of land, which is of course what they got from Kaliningrad. But drawing it in completely here, we will see that Poland annexes all of this part of Belarus, and then they annex this very large portion of Ukraine. Both of these countries lose a lot of land, but it is an effort to make Poland a little bit like how they used to be. Now technically they also do deserve some land from the Baltic countries, so let's go ahead and give them all of that back. I'm sure that Lithuania won't mind. They're all united together now, so they have even more power than they did before. Losing this tiny piece of land over to Poland isn't that big of a deal, other than the fact that Lithuania's capital got annexed. But once again, they're in a union now, so they don't really need that. But Poland is looking like its former self. And honestly, Europe is looking a lot better, if you ask me. Now, of course, you know, I'm the one changing everything, so of course I'm going to say that, but I'm sure a majority of you disagree. Anyway, for our next task, we need to bring back the nation of Czechoslovakia. It just has to happen. It's such a fun nation name to say. So we'll bring them back, as well as give them this part of Ukraine over here that was historically a part of that nation. So Czechoslovakia is back. I know that they separated for a reason, but we don't have to be super realistic, right? But now coming down to this hellhole, aka the Balkans. There are a lot of things that we can do here. So let's start by uniting Moldova with Romania and forming much larger Romania. From here, we're going to unite Albania and Kosovo together. And then we are going to partition North Macedonia between Greece, Albania, and Bulgaria. Now this little part of Serbia down here, that will also be annexed by the Bulgarians, which will leave us with a southern Balkan map looking something like this. Now this is where it gets really spicy and all the hate comments come flooding in, so let's be very careful here. We're going to unite Montenegro with Serbia, and then we are going to ethnically divide up Bosnia. I tried my best. I'm so sorry. But we give the Croatian region over to, of course, Croatia. We'll give the two Serbian regions over to Serbia, which will make some very horrible borders. Honestly, I don't like that at all. So instead of giving Serbia this one, we'll actually just take the two Bosniak areas and we'll unite them with the remaining Serbian areas, and Bosnia will still exist. Anyway, to make the people over here a little bit more angry, we are going to be giving some land over to Italy, which includes around half of Slovenia, as well as this part of Croatia over here. This will technically leave Slovenia alive, but we're actually going to unite them with the rest of Croatia. So we have this new Northern Balkan Republic up here, and honestly, we could unite the remaining Bosniaks with the Croatians and Slovenians. So let's actually go ahead and do that. I feel like this would probably perform better than Yugoslavia did, but I'm not Balkan, so anyone from the Balkans, let me know how you think this would go down in the comments. We basically have North Yugoslavia and South Yugoslavia now. But yeah, we are now actually pretty much done with Europe. Austria and Hungary don't need any more changes. They actually look good how they are. One of the last things we'll do in Europe is divide up thrice between Bulgaria and Greece. So Bulgaria gets the north and Greece gets the rest. And then finally, we'll come over here to Ukraine. We'll make a few changes. First of all, we'll give Crimea back over to Ukraine. But in exchange for that, we will be giving the Donbass region over to Russia. Additionally, coming over here to this weird looking area of Ukraine, we're going to be giving some of this land over to Romania just to tidy the border up a little bit. But yeah, Ukraine loses a lot of land in exchange for Crimea. Hopefully they don't mind, but Russia is probably satisfied at this point, so they won't really do much. And they're especially going to be satisfied after uniting with the remaining areas of Belarus. So that will officially do it for our newly drawn borders of Europe. Let me know what you think about this part of this video down in the comments below. Do you think I could have done better? Do you think I just completely massacred the borders? Or do you think that I actually fixed it? Like I said, we are now moving into the next part of this video, which is redrawing the borders of Asia, since you know it's Eurasia. But for our first event in Asia, we are going to be creating Greater Armenia. And to do that, we will be giving Armenia a good portion of eastern Turkey, so that comes under full annexation. We will also give them the exclave of Azerbaijan, as well as a little bit of land over here in Nagorno-Karabakh. I was not right. Just ignore my Americanism. But we're also going to give Armenia this portion of Georgia. Now, this is just a map of Greater Armenia that I got from Wikipedia, which not a really reliable source. I'm sure we all know that from school. But there's like 5 different maps of Greater Armenia, so this is just the one that I went with. Also, this part of Turkey here wasn't included, so we'll go ahead and give that over to Georgia. But for this next event, it's going to be a pretty big one, as we are going to be giving all of the Azerbaijani population in Iran over to Azerbaijan, the actual state. Most of them are in this region up here, so we'll be ceding a majority of this land over to these guys. But first, we will cede a tiny bit of this land over to Armenia. I know that there is, I think, an Azerbaijani population in this part, at least according to the map I'm referencing, but we're going to give them over to Armenia just to make the borders look a little bit better. I know there's probably a lot of ethnic tension down here now, but hopefully giving Azerbaijan all of this land will fix that. But the land given to Azerbaijan will look like this, a very large portion of Iran, and you definitely could say that we're massacring the borders over here, and honestly, I would agree, this is pretty bad. Now, coming over to Georgia, we'll be giving over Abkhazia as well as South Ossetia to Russia. Now, Russia is technically illegally occupying these areas right now, but there is a Russian population there, and that's kind of a trend that we've been following in this video. So we'll go ahead and just officially give it over to Russia. They've had control of it since 2008, I'm pretty sure. So at this point, I mean, it's basically Russia, just not officially, and probably won't ever officially be Russian, but they control it. Kind of similar to Crimea, but we did give that back to Ukraine, so I don't know. There's a lot of Russians here, so I guess that logic doesn't really make sense down here. Georgia looks awful. Sorry, Georgia. Anyway, we are going to continue to make a lot of people angry, especially the Turks, as we give the nation of Kurdistan independence. So this consists of the remaining areas of eastern Turkey, as well as the northernmost areas of Syria and Iraq, and then this small area of Iran over here. Now, it does kind of overlap with both Greater Armenia and Azerbaijan at this point. So technically, you know, they would have a lot of overlapping claims with one another, especially the Azerbaijanis over Armenia, and that could lead to a possible war, but we aren't doing a war scenario today. We're just fixing the borders. So this is our updated map of the northern Middle East. It looks pretty bad, but technically, this is still fixing things. We are fixing the very bad ethnic border issues here. That is very exemplified by Armenia and Azerbaijan in real life, so I think this is pretty justified. But yeah, Turkey, I'm sorry, Turkey, it just had to happen. But to make up for all of the Turkish lost land, we'll give them a portion of Syria. Probably not like what they want, and they'd probably rather have their old land back, but still, Turkey expands its borders down south into Syria. And then, oh, geez, I don't know what to do here. I mean, I do know what to do here, but it would make 50% of you guys angry at me. And since I do try to appeal to a majority of my audience, we'll just simply be sinking this region into the ocean. So goodbye area that shall not be named, and moving right along. So for our next changes in the Mesopotamian Middle Eastern region, we are going to be kind of basing it off of Islamic religion, more specifically the split between Shia and Sunni. So the first thing we'll do is give the Shia area of Iraq over to Iran, who is of course the major Shia country in the Middle East. And then as for the rest of the Sunni areas, we will actually be uniting all of these countries together. So Syria, Iraq, and Jordan all come under one flag. And to make up for this weird border down here, we're actually just going to go ahead and give this piece of land over to Saudi Arabia. So let's go ahead and do that. Then we'll also go ahead and have Kuwait be annexed by Saudi Arabia as well. So the religious makeup of this area is now a little bit better via borders, but I'm not too sure if everyone is happy. In fact, I may never be welcome in the Middle East ever again, especially Turkey. So hopefully my hair doesn't fall out, because otherwise I'll have to find an alternative than going to Turkey. I think I'm fine. I hope I'm fine at least. I don't know. College is very stressful, so maybe not. But now down to the southern areas of Arabia. Let's go ahead and give Qatar over to Saudi Arabia as well as Bahrain. And then we're bringing back the beautiful nation of Yemen. Let me know down in the comments if you get that reference. If you do, you are a true fan. Not saying that if you don't get it, you're not a true fan, but you are an OG fan if you know that reference. I realize now that the name for this country should probably be like Yemen, but Yemen is an OG reference, so we're going to call it that instead. As for the UAE, we're actually not going to do anything here other than give this portion of Oman over to them, because why does Oman even own that? But now we're going to try to fix this problem. I really don't know what to do here. Basically, this mess is a hard one to clean up, especially right here. This is just a scrambled mess. It's horrible. There's constant fighting in this region because of these horrible borders. I don't know who approved of this. Russia, was it you? It was probably Russia. We'll just blame the Russians. Speaking of Russia, though, we will go ahead and give them the majority Russian areas of Kazakhstan. So these are just like the northernmost provinces. I do realize that I'm like kind of fulfilling Putin's dream right now. Putin's wet dream. I don't want to imagine that actually, so it's just Putin's dream. But yeah, Kazakhstan gets a nice haircut, and honestly, it doesn't look good. So let's just make the nation of Uzbekistan disappear. I know that this is going off schedule. You know, usually I try to keep ethnic areas separate, especially when there's issues. And this would technically be creating a new issue, but it just would look better, I think. Actually, I'm not sure if it looks better at all. It kind of looks worse. So let's go ahead and pour some more gas over the fire. Let's add in Turkmenistan as well. The mapping community already has a name for a country like this. It is known as Stanistan. It's a very large country, but now we need to address the elephants in the room, which are Kazakhstan and Tajikistan. We could throw them into Stanistan, and that would probably be okay, but these two nations don't like each other. There is constant conflict. So in order to make them get over it, and in order to make them make up, we're going to make them sit in a room with each other, aka sit in a union with each other. Now I know that this would probably blow up this region, and a lot of people would be harmed. Trust me, the explosion would be very large. But we need them to get over it, so let's just combine them into one country. So Central Asia has been ruined, fixed, and yeah, it doesn't look better, but you know, we're going to deal with it. We're also going to come over here to this river, and we're going to be drawing a line that will give this portion of Kazakhstan over to Russia. Now this has nothing to do with like any ethnic makeup or anything like that. This is just a matter of making the borders look a tiny bit better, and honestly I might change it again. We're gonna do something like this instead, just getting rid of that weird part of Stanistan, but we're just cleaning up the borders a little bit, making it look a little bit better. But yeah, we get to move into yet another hateful region where no matter what I do, someone's gonna be angry. So I've done this before, and we will be doing it again. We're gonna be giving Kashmir complete independence. Since no one can agree on an actual border over here, and since everyone wants to fight each other over these claims, Kashmir just becomes an independent nation. If I see a single comment complaining about this, I am banishing you to Barbados. You will never come back. You will live the rest of your life in Barbados. So you better not comment anything about the independence of Kashmir. So problem solved over here. We're going to come over here to Afghanistan, and we're going to be giving their panhandle over to Kyrgyzstan. I don't think Tajikistan work. Tajikistan? That's hard to say. Tajikistan is easier. Or no, Kyrgyzstan. No, okay. I don't know. It's too much. We're moving on. Afghanistan actually looks fine how it is, and so does Pakistan and even India. Until we get over here, I'm going to make some changes here. First of all, we'll give this area over to China. They claim it in real life, and they will be getting it here. And the only reason I'm really giving them this land is because India will be losing all of the rest of this area. It doesn't look good, so we're going to fix it. I know that I've complained about it before, and I will complain about it again, but we just need to fix these borders. So Nepal will be getting this piece of India, and Bangladesh will be getting this piece of India. They both get a lot larger. And then as for the rest of this area, we're actually going to be giving it over to Bangladesh. This is a country with a very dense population, so giving them a lot more land will help spread them out a little bit more and maybe make life a little bit more livable here. Not as cramped, and like especially with the refugee crisis from Myanmar, a lot of those people could probably start to settle in this area as well. So two birds with one stone by giving that portion of India over to Bangladesh. And then as for the rest of this, we're not going to touch it. It looks fine how it is. Sri Lanka, we're not going to touch them either, although we could probably unite them with India. I don't think that's a super huge priority though, so we won't do that. Instead, we'll now make our way over here to this part of Eastern Asia. And to be honest, Mongolia is a beautiful looking country, so we will not be touching Mongolia. However, we will be touching China. And we'll go ahead and do what I always do. We'll give independence over to both Tibet as well as Xinjiang. Tibet is pretty self-explanatory, but with all the bad things that China is doing in this part of this country, we should also give them independence so they don't have to deal with, you know, what they're doing to them. Let's go ahead and give China this area of Russia over here, right near Sakhalin. I feel like China should have access to the ocean right here. They are just kind of, you know, blocked off by Russia since they look like that. But we give them better access to the ocean, which will probably make Japan not so happy, as well as South Korea. I could also give Inner Mongolia over to Mongolia. I don't think I'll do that though. China's lost a lot of land already. So instead, we'll now shift our focus over here to Korea, where we are going to be uniting them both together. This is something that every mapper does. No matter how many fixing the border videos you watch of mine, Korea will always end up as one country, or maybe two. So I think one time I did East and West Korea. We definitely don't need to do that, so we'll just unite them together into one. Japan looks good as is. We'll actually keep Sakhalin under Russian control just because of this border right here. It just kind of makes more sense, especially with like the territorial boundaries of Russia at this point. Taiwan will remain Taiwan, and so will the Philippines. No land changes here. But now coming down to Southeast Asia, we could make a lot of changes here. And the first one I'll be doing is giving over the tail of Myanmar, as I call it, to Thailand. I think I've said the phrase "as I call it" more than I've said the tail of Myanmar on its own. Every time I call it the tail of Myanmar, I say, which is what I call this area of Myanmar. I think most of you know that by now, unless you're like a new viewer, and if you are a new viewer, make sure to subscribe. You made it this far in the video already, and if you are already subscribed, I'm sure you've already liked the video as well, right? You liked it, right? John, I swear to God, if you don't like this video right now, I'm gonna crawl out of the screen and be... Anyway, let's go ahead and bring back Siam. I know that like combining Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam into one country could have some repercussions, especially modernly, but we're just gonna do it. I think the three of these nations combined together looks very good on the map. So you now have three large countries, Thailand, Myanmar, Vietnam. They all look like they're around about the same size. I think Myanmar is the largest, Thailand's the smallest, but still they're all relatively equal in size, especially when you zoom out. So yeah, this area has been fixed. But we will have to fix Malaysia because this looks horrible. So in order to fix Malaysia, we won't be touching their western half. Instead, we will be touching their eastern half. Please don't take that out of context. We're going to be giving Borneo I don't know if we're going to give them independence, but we will give them all of this part of Malaysia as well as Brunei. I think that if we gave Borneo independence, the borders of Indonesia would look a little bit too wacky, maybe? Honestly, that's not bad for Indonesia, so we are actually just going to give the island of Borneo its independence, so this becomes a country of its own now. And then to kind of give Indonesia a little bit more land, we'll go ahead and unite them with Timor-Leste. And then finally, even though they aren't in Eurasia, we will be giving Papua New Guinea all of the Indonesian part of New Guinea, so this whole island now comes under Papua New Guinea control, but Indonesia will keep the rest of their land, so all of these islands are still Indonesian. And that is the last change I'll be making to the map of Eurasia. So we have, quote unquote, fix the borders of Eurasia. Let me know down below if I am no longer welcomed in your country. I'm sure there'll be a few comments that very, very clearly state that, along with, a few other swears and a few other very offensive words. It's okay though, it's all part of the love, I think. We've made a lot of changes, especially over here in Europe. Central Europe looks completely different now. Spain imploded, but they did unite with Portugal. Czechoslovakia is back, Big Poland is back, we have a Baltic Union. The Middle East looks completely different, and I don't know if that's for better or for worse. Lebanon did get away, they didn't get annexed by anyone, and that's because of their Islamic religion. They're also Shia, like Iran, so they didn't get united with the Sunni Union. As for Central Asia, we just united a bunch of countries together. We give Kashmir independence as well as Xinjiang and Tibet. And then we did a lot of unification down here in East Asia. So there was a lot more division in Europe than there was in Asia. But if you guys did enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you're new. All the support is always greatly appreciated. Make sure to check out the Discord server, link to it in the description below. We have a very cool mock government going on over there. And with elections coming up soon, we could use some more people, so do feel free to join that if you do like mock governments and interacting in a fictional government. Also technically a fictional nation, it's called the Republic of Adizia. Join with caution though. Also check out channel memberships to get early access to each and every single one of our videos. I've seen a lot of member comments lately that have been appreciating that feature of getting early access, so if you're a WICSO fan and you would rather see those videos on Friday than Saturday, the membership program might be for you. This design right here, probably my favorite design other than the signature limited edition, which I haven't ordered yet, but I will soon. Trust me, you can wear this one in public. But if you want to pick up a nice pajama shirt, we also have the WICSO merchandise, which is not limited time. This will be here a lot longer. We are doing the holiday promotion. Use code HOLIDIZ for 15% off on all orders over $30. That was a lot of advertising. These outros are getting longer and longer. I think they'll be a lot shorter when the merchandise goes away though. Enough of that though, enough yapping. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. And of course, thank you to all our super fans. This includes Augusto Mapping, Vista Maps, Omega the YouTuber, the official GeoMapper on YT, Kingdom of the Acheron, Coda, Shifty Mapping, 2, Not CBB Junior, Augusto, Opie the Boat, Rad is totally my name, Xander Pro 2023, Green France, Nevada Garbage Trucks, Golden Ball Mapping, Australian Geo Guy, Zaylands, DJ Big Goose, Big Mapping, and Hammer Toad 45. Once again, thank you guys.